Are we on?
Good evening, we are on. How are we all this evening? Welcome to the ABC of Hauntings with your hosts Anne Rekovich from Ozparatech and
Renata Daniel from Newcastle Ghost Tours.
and together we are
Frightfully good.
Never gets old, does it?
No.
Have you
No.
noticed this evening our beautiful attire?
Oh no, this cost us so much money, it's unbelievable.
I know. I don't know if you can see.
Hello Mick, I hope your head's okay,
How's
mate.
your bonked head, dude?
Oh dear.
Mick cracked his egg this afternoon, and got carted off to hospital by his lovely wife Vicky. So
Vicky?
he couldn't get any stitches because it was right up in his hairline, and worried about gluing it. Hi Jenny. Hi Joe. Oh Joe, thank you for all your tagging you were doing today. That was absolutely brilliant. What a day it's been, Renata.
It is. What did we Hello Andrew. Hello Cherry. Hello Jenny. Hello Danielle.
Oh, hi Shane. We were in Sydney this morning. Our beautiful new managers.
Oh, they're just so gorgeous.
I like saying
Can you
that.
just stop for a moment and just say that again?
Our beautiful new managers booked us a spot on Studio 10 as some paranormal, what do they call us? Aussie Queens of Paranormal.
Yes.
We're going to get tiaras, we're going to get wands and tutus. We are going to be the queens of Aussie Paranormal. They gave it to us.
Watch out, haters.
Just remember, it wasn't us that took the name. It was given to us. It was bestowed upon us.
Like a medal.
Oh,
Welcome everyone. And look, if you missed the
Hi, Patty.
program,
hi Mel, Dylan.
it is
Amber.
actually on Studio 10. If you go to their Facebook page and just scroll down, they have all the segments that they had on the show today are available to watch. So you can go directly to Studio 10 Facebook page, and if you scroll down one or two, you'll find our segment on. You'll be able to see it there. It may well be posted to one or two of our sites as well. I'm not sure. We've done so much posting this afternoon. I have no idea where anything is. So.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you, Jody. And look, we want to take time to thank every single person who wished us well this morning.
Paranags. We'll be paranags.
Who wished us well this morning, who then...
Oh, yes, Robert, EMF Princess. Oh, can we do EMF Princess ones?
How do you do that?
I don't know. We've got to come up with a way to do that. That's brilliance. Oh, Robert, thank you.
And took time to say you did really well and we enjoyed it.
Oh, the
Thank you
comments are
so
just
much.
beautiful. You almost made us cry.
Almost.
I was too tired and I'm still a little weary, so please forgive me. Renata's holding up the fort tonight and she's done some research. We struggled a little bit trying to find some eyes, so we're sort of revisiting one that we might have done last year. We can't remember.
We did touch on the Incubus.
What? Oh,
There he
our
is
friend.
There he is there.
And our
And the
nightmare.
The
See our
nightmare.
nightmare. And if Renata moves that way, you can see our gorgeous, gorgeous maiden lying helpless with the weight on her chest.
All asunder.
Yeah, she's looking gorgeous.
She's all asunder. Look.
Hi, Pauline.
Look at these. Look. Aren't they great? Look.
Oh, Christy's going to make us some wands.
Trick or treats. Don't you love these?
I'm sure there's some little tiny EMF meters on Wish.
We went
If we
to
order them now, we should have them in 6 months' time.
we went to a boutique
Hi, Neil.
in
Hi,
Sydney
Karen.
and bought
Julie.
these.
Yeah, a boutique.
Boutique.
Loews.
Lowe's.
Very exclusive boutique, Loews.
But I love them. They're Halloweeny.
Yeah.
So there you are.
And
We can't do them up because they're too
not,
small.
Not made for women with boobs and guts, but you know.
Anyway.
Yes, the maiden is gorgeous. And we have a really interesting story to tell about what happened before we went on air today. Now, right now we should be having our very last night in New Orleans. Thank you, COVID. But in saying that, if we had been away for the amount of time we were going to be away this year, none of this would have happened. So, you know what? I'm going to take what's happened and be grateful. Anyway, so we got to Channel 10 early, and we decided to go and have a cup of coffee. And we sat down, we sort of chatted nervously, did some little videos for you guys, and then as we were walking out, I've looked down on the ground and I could see a coin. It looked like a 2-cent piece or a 1-cent piece. I'm thinking, oh, what's that doing here? That's really odd. So I've bent over to pick it up, and I don't know if you can see it. Can you? No. Oh, I might need a little bit of light. I can see my dirty fingernails. Good
It has a harp on it. That gives you an idea of what country it might be from.
I'll just get a little bit of light on it for you, so you can see it.
Now we haven't made this up. This actually happened.
This actually happened. All right, so you can see the little harp. I can't coordinate myself to do this because it's all in reverse. All right, there it is. Eek, 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 eek.
It's an Irish coin.
It's an Irish coin.
An Irish coin.
Now, as we said, we were meant to be coming back from New Orleans.
Hello, Jose.
And in 16 days' time, we were meant to be going to Ireland. But not only that, our host this morning was Irish from
Wicklow,
County Wicklow. Was it Wexford?
Yes, something.
Yeah. And we were just floored to find an Irish coin on the Australian street when we're meant to be going there in less than 3 weeks. We obviously can't. And our host is very Irish.
So as Christy said, the leprechauns left this for us. We had a visit from the leprechauns.
So we're going to call that our very first apport from the spirit world.
Not losing that.
Just letting us know we're on the right path. We find a penny. That's what I was thinking, Amber, is when I saw it, I thought, oh, I have to pick that up because that's going to be good luck.
Yeah.
Holy moly, yeah.
Yeah, Tristan's a bit of a honey, always. Oh, guess what? We're going to hopefully be spending a little bit more time with him because we've been asked back.
Already?
Fancy that. To do a bit of an investigation with him.
With Tristan. All the things we can do to him. You thought we were unkind to Isaac. Wait till we get hold of Tristan.
Oh, where can we pop those cat balls?
And I didn't mention cat balls once. I didn't
No,
have to
you were
mention
very
cat balls.
good.
Yeah.
Very. I told her, do not say cat balls. Do not. They are motion sensor detectors.
The cat balls.
They're motion sensor detectors.
And we've already had a hater on the Channel 10's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Saying that I see you bringing in the, what was it, the dingbats or the something like that? It was something like that. And my daughter, God love her, has got on there and said, you may think they're dingbats, but they are two very beautiful, wonderful women. And I was like, oh.
How lovely is
Yeah,
that?
it's basically something like the nutters are out. That's okay. I'm a happy nutter. I like being a nutter. Embrace your nuts, is what I say.
Yes. Okay, all right. These come from Lowe's, guys.
Fruit Loops, that's what it was, Joe. We were Fruit Loops.
These come from Lowe's. I spotted them as we were walking out of the shopping mall in Sydney, and I went, let's get ourselves some of those. They had 2 types. We got both.
The other ones are bigger sizes. They fit a bit better.
Yeah, but these are great. Look, they're all Halloween-y. I love them. They're brilliant.
Yeah,
So,
Joe got onto them as well.
yeah, get yourself down to Lowe's and grab yourself a shirt.
Yes, I'll ask him. Tristan and Isaac should join us at the jail for Halloween. I will definitely ask them if they'd like to come and join us. Although it's Renata's gig, I'll just ask. All right, so we're educating people tonight.
Heaven help us.
Speaking of educating, we do have our Introduction to Paranormal Investigation course starting tomorrow night. This is where we plug the stuff we do that actually pays us a bit of money, so bear with us. It's a 3-week course. It starts at 7:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time and goes till 9 p.m. approximately. We are covering all sorts of things within that course, including the etiquette of being a paranormal investigator, what is expected of you, how you should act, rules and regulations of properties and investigations, also the equipment of the paranormal, explaining cameras, infrared, ultraviolet, different types of entities, dealing with families. It is jam-packed full of information. Yes,
Yep.
it is the same course that we ran probably 4 months ago, but there was demand for it, so we are running it again. We'll probably run it three times a year.
Shane, you're very naughty.
It is $50 for the 3 weeks. No, not $50 a week. It's $50 for all
What?
3
$50
weeks.
for 3 weeks?
Yes, that's right.
Holy shit, that's
It works
cheap.
out to be about $17 an hour. It is recorded, so you can watch it at your own time if you can't join us live. And I do behave myself. Jodie, if you go to our pages, we've now put the Studio 10 link up there where you can watch the thing from today, which was fantastic.
If in doubt, go to Studio 10 Facebook page, and if you scroll down one or two of the videos, you will see us on.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so tonight we are talking about Incubus. Now,
Incubus.
we
Now,
have Incubus and Succubus.
right.
I just
And
need to get rid of Christy's comment.
we just have to be very careful here, because this is one of those topics that can trigger people, and I am going to try desperately hard not to use language that may be something that can cause issues for people.
And if you do have issues and it has triggered you in some way, please reach out to a professional and talk to someone about it. Lifeline and Beyond Blue offer services to help you talk through any issues that this may raise for you. And we do take it very seriously. I know a lot of the time we are very humorous, but and we will find the humour in the situations tonight, but if you find this triggers you, it's very important that you do go and seek help, because if it's triggering,
Yeah,
they're letting you know. Your guides
Yeah.
are letting you know this is an issue and you need to work on it. So don't ignore it, don't bury it, don't stew on it, work on it.
Now, Dylan, the course link is in the comments. So if you scroll up a little bit, you'll actually see the link to the course that we are doing tomorrow. Still plenty of room, so you can jump on and book. And as Anne said before, if you can't be there live, you can watch the replay. So yes, and you'll get a link for that. So yes, this is an interesting one from the point of view of how it has changed over the years, and historically how this whole concept of an incubus and succubus were used to benefit people from doing naughty things to each other. They could blame a demon.
Yes.
Fancy that.
Isn't it? We were talking to Tristan about Loftus Hall today, and he said, "Oh, tell Sarah about Loftus Hall," and that was the story about the devil coming to the mansion and having dinner with them and playing cards, and then they look down and notice that he's got hooves, and the daughter all of a sudden turns up pregnant. So sometimes it can be a good excuse to blame the devil. The devil did it.
Yes, and very
My
much
daughter is
so.
still virtuous.
Very much so it was used in that way. But let me go to my notes and let's start this conversation.
Just
So
before
if
we
you-
start,
Yes.
there is Incubus and Succubus. Now, I always get them confused, and so did Zach Baggins in one episode of The Ancient Ram Inn, where he called in the Incubus to visit him, and the Incubus was the male one. Good on you, Zach. I'm glad that we're broadening our horizons there. So if you want to try and remember, the S is sort of like the female form, right? Some nice hips and boobs. And the incubus is a long shaft with a little knob on top. That will help you remember that that's the male one.
That just explains it. Just
That's just so
amazingly.
you can, remember
Amazingly
the difference
well.
between the male and the female demons. I thought that
Yes,
was very clever.
we've just lost viewers.
I'm
Hopes
sorry.
that's okay. All right. Okay. So the Incubus Demon is the one that is in the male form that comes to you. And he seeks to have sexual favours. Let's say sexual favours. You all know
Okay.
what we mean, but sexual favours
I
with
don't.
sleeping
Would you
women.
like to explain?
No, you just use your imagination. So the corresponding spirit in female form is called the succubus. So in medieval Europe, union with the incubus was supposed to result in the birth of witches, demons, and deformed human offspring.
Oh, now that's...
Yet again, a really great excuse. Witches, demons, and deformed human offspring.
That annoys me.
Now, remember, you're there at a time
Lack
when
of
so
education,
many
I know.
things are still
Unknown.
unknown.
Yep.
Yeah. The legendary magician Merlin was said to have been fathered by an incubus.
Oh, I didn't.
Parallels
I haven't heard that
exist in
story
many
before.
cultures. The word incubus is derived from the Latin incubus,
Oh.
which means nightmare.
Ah, and that's
And-
what we've got here. We've got the lovely horse with the white eyes. This is our nightmare.
The nightmare, M-A-R-E, exactly.
As in the female horse.
And incubare, to lie upon, weigh upon, and brood. So there you go. That's the Latin for you. In modern psychological usage, the term has been applied to the type of nightmare that gives one the feeling of a heavy weight or oppression on the chest and stomach, most commonly called old hag syndrome.
Yes.
So again, it's turned into the female form there rather than the male form.
And that's what we were talking about to Tristan today as well. He was explaining one of his experiences when he was living in LA. I just want to drop the name when we were talking to Tristan today on Studio 10. And he said that he felt that weight upon his chest and he couldn't move. And then all the pictures dropped off the wall. Now, I actually came up with a whole scenario to explain all of that.
Mm-hmm.
He probably felt the infrasound, because what happens before an earthquake is you get this boom that travels through. And I've been in LA where I've been through a couple of earthquakes, and you actually feel the pressure before the earthquake hits. You feel weird. So he's probably had that pressure hit him and woken up partly. He's not quite awake yet, which is what this whole old hag syndrome is. It's the hypnagogic state of sleep. And then the earthquake has hit and bounced everything off the walls, and he's lying there going, what just happened? Anyway, I just thought I'd throw something in because I've got not much to add tonight.
Oh, I'm going to throw something in. Just letting you all know, I'm going to use the P word that describes a male appendage, right, in this next little sentence. So
PP.
Just letting you know, all right? So in Western medieval legend, an incubus, or incubi if there is more than one, is a demon in male form supposed to lie upon sleepers, especially women, in order to have sexual favours with them. It is also believed that they do this to spawn other incubi. Right? The incubus drains energy from the woman on whom it lies in order to sustain itself, and some sources indicate that it may be identified by its unusually and unnaturally cold pee-pee.
A cold one? That's icky. Ooh. Oh, all right, go on. Oh,
Now,
prick.
there are
Lisa came up with a good one. Prick.
There are some religions that say that continual
Hi, Lisa.
visitations
Hi, Jose.
will actually drain the subject so badly that they end up dying. Yep. So the origins may be less mundane when it comes to the explanation of all of this. And they involve the medieval preoccupation with sin.
Sorry, with what, sorry?
Sin.
Oh, sin.
S-I-N.
So I'm partially deaf. I think there was a bug in my ear the other day. I picked it out, though. It's okay.
Especially the sins of women. See, there you freaking go again. It's always the woman's fault. Don't you, men, don't you say a word. Right?
She'll whoop your ass.
Just warning you. Okay. So victims may be experiencing waking dreams or sleep paralysis, also nocturnal arousal, or orgasm or nocturnal emission could be explained by the idea of creatures causing the otherwise guilt-producing and self-conscious behavior. Because remember, back then and even now in many religions, the whole idea of masturbating or having an orgasm
masturbating?
or masturbating, I don't know. The orgasm, bodily fluids, was all seen as evil.
And I had a case fairly early on in my career where a friend, and she's probably watching tonight, woke up with, asthma, what looked like human semen stains in her sheets.
Right.
So she had no explanation. We did a bit of work into it and found out that it was a previous entity, owner of the house, who was an old male, and he was visiting her in her sleep.
Ew!
Yeah. That was before I had you.
Oh, right, okay.
You would have fixed him.
I would have.
You would have whooped his ass.
Anyway, now purported victims of incubi could have been and probably were the victims of sexual assault by real people. Yeah. So those people who would have assaulted sleeping women would have suggested that it was a demon and not them to escape any sort of punishment. Yeah. A friend or relative may have assaulted the victim in their sleep. The victims, and in some cases local clergy, may have found it easier to explain the attack as supernatural rather than confront the idea that the attack came from someone in a position of trust. So we're going back to times, and for most women, that's why I say that some of this can be a trigger for some people, because not much has changed in that particular area. Women are so afraid to go and say anything about assaults because it very rarely goes in favour of the female.
Yeah, they are accused of being the instigator of the attack.
Yes, that's true. So one of the earliest mentions of an incubus comes from Mesopotamia on the Sumerian kings list. So this goes back circa 2,400 years, where the hero Gilgamesh's father is listed as Lilu. It is said that Lilu disturbs and seduces women in their sleep, while a similar demon, Lilitu, appears to men in their erotic dreams. So we're going back how many years? 2,400 and 2,000 now, 4,400 years.
So this is how they're explaining wet dreams.
Wet dreams and sleep paralysis, wet dreams.
And unexplained pregnancies.
Unexplained pregnancies or pregnancies that you don't wish to be associated with. So two other corresponding demons appear as well. Ardat Lily, who visits men by night and begets ghostly children from them, and Irdu Lily, who is known as the male counterpart to Ardat Lily and visits women by night and begets from them. These demons were originally storm demons, but they eventually became regarded as night demons due to mistaken etymology. So again, part of this is the issue that a lot of this language is very old and we may not be interpreting it correctly. Holy crap. That brings to mind the Bible, doesn't it? But never mind, that's another thing that we won't go into.
Janet's just said, what about if you can't move or talk, and whatever attacked me on a few times over the years really hurts you? It's like they are digging fists into your body.
Janet, it's really, really difficult. There is such a fine line between what we see as sleep paralysis and what people feel and see and hear under that sleep, their personal experiences, and what actually may be a form of demonic attack. It's really hard to go into this here because you would have to look at each particular story on its own personal level and find out what is going on. There are a number of things that trigger sleep paralysis, and a lot of them have got nothing to do with ghost spirits or entities. They are physical things. So you can still get sleep paralysis just by having a few physical things that are occurring to you, and lack of sleep is one of them.
And something to remember too is if your body is in a state of panic because you can't move, your mind has come awake before your body is ready to, the mind engages the body muscles, then you could be having muscle spasms as you are trying to get your muscles to work, which could feel like fists on you.
Yeah.
So it could be a form of a cramp or a spasm. As we said, we're not discounting what's happened to you at all.
No.
We just like to offer alternate explanations as to what it could be.
Yeah. And we have to be very, very careful that everything that happens to us on a physical level isn't put into the demonic basket, because there are things that happen to us physically, mentally, and emotionally that are part of our psychology that's got really nothing to do with demons. And you can see 4,000 years of belief in this, and very little has changed in the outcomes of how people are treated when it comes to these sort of things happening, because as in what you say has happened to you, in many cases people will not believe people who have experience like this, and will say amazingly straight away that it must be something physical, but in some cases it is not. So we have to be very, very careful in how we handle this. And again, every single case is not similar to any other case. It is distinctive, and there are a lot of questions that have to be asked and posed before any type of, we can work out anything that is happening with you. Plus, you must go see a doctor, and you must go get a diagnosis. To go and see a person who is a psychic or a medium, and that's it, is not doing you any favors. It has to be,
assume it's paranormal.
Yeah, it has to be from both sides of the scientific world, if you want to talk about us being scientific at all. But you have to really look after yourself. Yep, Robert, every case is different. So according to some sources, incubi and succubi were said not to be different genders, but the same demons able to change their sex. Aha, very interesting. A succubus would be able to sleep with a man and collect his sperm, and then transfer into an incubus and use that seed on women. Well, that adds another dimension, doesn't it? I didn't know about that.
I've not heard that before.
Their offspring were thought to be supernatural in many cases.
Hence Merlin.
Even if the actual genetic material originally came from humans. So humans were really used as the receptacle.
Incubator?
Yes. Interesting. Though many tales claim that the incubus is bisexual, others indicate that it is strictly heterosexual and finds attacking a male victim either unpleasant or detrimental. There are also numerous stories involving the attempted exorcism of incubi or succubi who have taken refuge in the bodies of men or women. Yes, we have heard many stories, and they go on and on and on today.
Now, Erin's put something up interesting there. My time living and working out in Aboriginal communities, the elders would tell me similar stories of such entities.
That's really interesting.
I would love to hear the Aboriginal stories in relation to that. Would be really fascinating
and
to
how
do a
they
cross-reference.
dealt with them.
Yeah.
Incubi was sometimes said to be able to conceive children. The half-human offspring of such a union is a cambion. Which is interesting, because that's the name of a person in a new thing on Netflix that's being shown.
Oh.
Which is really weird. And the child's name is Cambion, I think. Anyway, according to the Malleus Maleficarum, which is the hammer of the gods, exorcism is one of the 5 ways to overcome the attacks of incubi, the others being sacramental confession, the sign of the cross or recital of the angelic salutation, moving the afflicted to another location, and by excommunication of the attacking entity, which is perhaps the same as exorcism. On the other hand, the Franciscan friar Ludovicio Sinistari stated that incubi do not obey exorcists, have no dread of exorcisms, show no reverence to holy things, at the approach of which they are not in the least overawed. So you could stick that cross up your backside. Wouldn't help.
Yeah, well, the Maleficus, what is it? Maleficus, Malleus Maleficum is written by 2 drunk monks.
Of course.
And then they've based the whole witch trials and everything on what was written by 2 drunk monks.
Lorna, tonight is not tarot night, my sweetheart. That is Thursday. So if you'd like to come back on Thursday, we could possibly do a reading for you.
Yeah, Amber's got there. In late European mythology and literature, a cambion is a half-human, half-demon offspring of an incubus, succubus, or other demon and a human. In the earliest known use related to the word for change, and is probably cognate with changeling.
Yes.
Since at the least the 19th century, it was referred to the offspring as an incubus, succubus, demon with the human, or demon with the human.
So, as was mentioned before about our own Australian Aboriginals, this is something that really is pervasive throughout a whole lot of different cultures. The same sort of possession, overtaking occurs and is noted. So I'll give you a few instances here. There are a number of variations of the incubus theme around the world. In Zanzibar, Popo Bawa primarily attacks men and generally behind closed doors. El Trauco, according to the traditional mythology of the province of Chile, is a hideous deformed dwarf which lulls nubile young women and seduces them. That's
Lucky dwarf.
He is said to be responsible for unwanted pregnancies, especially in unmarried women. See, there you go.
So Lisa's put here that she knew of someone who was impregnated this way. It was about 20 years ago. She hadn't had sex and fell pregnant.
Well,
once again, we weren't there. We can't say whether that was the case or not. And that's the story she's told you. So you have to take her on her word. But there are a lot of people who are embarrassed that they may have had sex or a one-night stand with someone, or had it forced upon them, and they will make up a story to make them feel comfortable. That might be the case, might not. Might be a virgin birth.
We weren't there. We don't know. Apparently it's happened once, so if it happens once, it can happen again. Right.
Thanks for slipping that in, Renata.
Well, there. It's written in the book. In Hungary, Liderk, I know, I'm butchering these words, can be a satanic lover that flies at night. In Brazil and the rainforests of the Amazon basin, the Boto is a combination of siren and incubus, a very charming and beautiful man who seduces young women and takes them into the river. So, you know, you've got these continual legends and myths from all around the world.
Oh, Jose, you're naughty.
In popular culture and media, incubi have been part of modern culture in many ways and in many movies. And among them are the creatures of the White Witch, which are present at the killing of Aslan in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. In Incubus, a film starring William Shatner, the main character is tempted by a lusting incubus in order to corrupt his pure soul. An incubus is later summoned to destroy him. In Anne Bishop's novel Sebastian, the hero is an incubus. The Dark Angel trilogy by Meredith Ann Pierce referred to the fully transformed sons of the White Witch as incubi among many other names, and it goes on to list a whole lot of different films. And of course, as someone mentioned earlier on, are you going to talk about the rock band Incubus? No, but there is one. And there's a video game called Incubus, and there is also a movie, or many movies, with that name. Now, let's just for a moment look at how they treated this whole thing in the 17th or the 7th century.
Would it be appropriate at this time to maybe read out an example?
Yeah,
of
go
what,
ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So what I decided to do was to use Renata's name in there, so we don't trigger anyone else, just Renata. And the weird thing is, I think whoever wrote this has got their demons muddled up with which sex was what. So I'm going to try and get my his's and hers all right. Renata struggled to open her eyes as the oppressive pressure on her chest became more severe. She sensed a presence in the room and felt the weight pushing down on her as she struggled to breathe. As her eyes opened slightly, she saw the shadowy figure above in a dimly lit bedroom. That's Renata on the bed.
I always look like that when I sleep.
The presence and a vague sense of dread filled her as she realized that she could not move. No matter how hard she willed her body to come to life and to take protective action, nothing happened. What was wrong and why? Time stretched on and her fear grew. Finally, her arms and legs responded and she sat up, finding herself alone in the room and shaken by this frightening visitation. She found it difficult to fall back to sleep and wondered what had happened. Had she somehow been violated? Off and on during the next day, she shuddered as she thought back on the unearthly presence she had encountered in her bedroom. So that would be a typical Incubus type of story.
Mm-hmm. And we hear this many, many times, this
We do.
same story of waking up to a sense of dread and this oppression on the chest and the feeling that you cannot move, that you know exactly what is going on, but you cannot move a muscle.
My storytelling is amazing. You're welcome.
Yeah, so it is certainly a thing. It is definitely a thing. It is definitely something that does happen to people. What is behind it in every case may have two different scenarios, outcomes. And we are not here to judge either way. We're just telling the stories today. So there is currently no prescribed treatment for sleep paralysis, but doctors suggest that making your sleep schedule regular can decrease these instances of parasoma, and that's what it's called. Oh, sorry, parasomnia. Parasomnia.
And also removing your phones from near your beds and trying to reduce the amount of blue light that you get. And you can actually get apps to remove the blue light.
And don't sleep on electric blankets that are plugged into the walls either. They all create.
Not much use without.
No, what you should be, what is probably a healthier thing to do is to warm up your bed before you go into it, and then unplug
turn it off. Yeah.
because you're actually lying on a live circuit.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's just going to do your head and your body in. So the earliest treatments for incubus and nightmares were sometimes as frightening as the experience itself.
What did they do to them?
This is interesting. The first mention of a treatment for sleep paralysis was noticed by Byzantine physician Paulus Aegineta.
Oh.
Aegineta.
Well, that's a good name. You did well.
In the 7th century. One of his 7 books on the history of medicine, Paulus explains the most common way to treat the complaint was through bleeding, drastic purgatives, and friction of the extremities.
Okay, so cut you, make you bleed, make you throw up and clear your bowels. Friction of the extremities.
Right. Doesn't say which extremities. No.
I'll just imagine it going.
Focus on the head. Focus on the head.
Oh, okay.
As the source of the problem, suggested that if the above treatment did not work, the cupping and scarification of the throat, a restricted diet and shaving the head would.
What?
There you go.
How does that even make sense?
10th century Persian polymath, I'm not even going to
Oh, let me have a crack at it. Which one's this one?
Akawaini.
Oh, that's like our
Bakari.
that's a bit like our trolls. Akahawani Bakari
Was the first to completely dissociate the nightmare from demonic possession in his Learner's Guide to Medicine, making it solely a physical problem.
Oh, good.
Wow, that's the 10th century. So this particular polymath was a subscriber to the ancient theory of humorism.
Yeah,
that
Mick's
we
saying
have.
that he's had a go at bleeding today to get rid of his incubus.
So
You want the succubus, not the incubus.
he believed nightmare was caused by vapors of phlegm ascending from the stomach to suffocate the brain during sleep. Although his theory was different, his treatment was no different from his predecessors' bloodletting. In the Christian era, sleep paralysis was akin to demonic possession, and those afflicted were treated with prayers and exorcism. But as the age of enlightenment took hold, demons diminished and medical care moved towards our modern understandings of empirical observation, changing the treatment of sleep paralysis to what they do now, which is really advise you to get more sleep, eat well, stop the stress and anxiety, exercise, and yeah, come back later.
Come back in 2 weeks and tell us how you're feeling.
Yeah. So psychological distress, anxiety, PTSD, all of those types of distressing psychological illnesses can actually lead to these moments of sleep paralysis. And so it's so important, people, to deal with stress. It really is. Stress can affect every single molecule in your body and make you unwell on so many levels. So stress and anxiety is something that we all have to really learn how to manage properly.
And yes, we on Monday nights we do our sort of education topics. Thursday nights we do our tarot. So thank you for joining us on a Monday night. I hope you, as you're saying, finding it very interesting and maybe learn a bit, because we learn as we go as well.
So Danny says that reflux sometimes feels pretty demonic. Yes, depending on what you had. It can be
especially
pretty
if you had
awful.
a curry. If you've had Indian, it just comes back at me all the time.
And Lisa Young says, do you believe that though? Which part, Lisa? Which part do we believe or not? I'm not quite sure.
And what about those with borderline personality disorders? That's probably moving into a different area.
Yeah, and nothing that we can comment on or that we should be commenting on. Sue?
Yeah,
you should speak to a medical practitioner who knows what they're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's the whole voices in the head and all that sort of thing. That's not our area of expertise. But in a paranormal investigation, we would encourage people who are having these sorts of issues to seek clearance from a doctor before embarking on a paranormal investigation.
The thing about all of this is that where the distinction lies is that the voices that you hear are actually telling you what to do all the time. That's when it becomes super difficult and something that really needs treatment.
Particularly if you're being asked to harm someone or harm yourself, please seek help. Get it. You're better to go and get that sorted out, checked off the list, and then you can seek other alternative explanations.
Yeah, and there are a lot of different alternative treatments now that are really good, that can assist and help if you try them and they work for you. So you've got different things like acupuncture, Reiki, Bowen, a whole lot of different treatments, and they have worked for people. So if it doesn't work for you, it may not, but something else might. So it is worth going into and looking at it. Yes, PTSD is a psychological injury. Yeah, we know a few people that have PTSD, and it's awful. Yeah. So there is a little bit of an introduction on the incubus, and yes, it is a true haunting for some people. Whether that is
I've got
something
our other
that
little
is,
dude. I can pop up here. Just let me go into the
yeah,
green screen.
whether it is something that is actually paranormal or not.
Here's our other one.
Yeah, it would have to
That was Renata
really.
on Friday night.
It was. It would have to be something that would really have to be looked at very, very closely.
Yeah, this is true. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make them drink. In a paranormal case, we would not proceed any further until somebody had that clearance. So, they either go drink at the trough, or we don't join them.
And if someone came to us saying that they're having repeated experiences, and this is just my perspective, so I'm willing to own this as someone who is working in this field, and people do message us and talk to us about this on several occasions a year. I would say to them always go and get a health check. And if all of that is ticked off and the doctor says there's nothing that we can pinpoint this to, then we would then look at it from a paranormal perspective. And that doesn't mean we would just leave them while they were having that done. We would continue discussion, but I would not feel comfortable in just having that discussion alone without it being followed up by a medical practitioner, or having a medical practitioner come in and get involved in some way.
And if you find yourself in that situation where you do have a friend that's refusing help, you can actually ring Lifeline yourself and ask, how do I get help for this person? What should I do? And they will point you in the right direction.
So that's really important. And it's important if you have friends, and it's important for yourself that if you post things on Facebook pages and ask for assistance, you will get 1,000 different things.
Yeah,
1,000 different things. I think
biases and beliefs rather than knowledge.
I think one of the last things we read that we kind of had raised eyebrows at was when someone replied to something very similar to this, that the person should just lie on their side rather than lying face up, and that was going to cure them. Yep. So you can certainly take other people's suggestions on board, but in the end, go and seek medical advice. Please.
Now, we do actually have another exciting thing that is going to be happening next week, but it still needs to be locked in before we can announce it. We will be doing another investigation with Tristan from Studio 10. We are just trying to lock down a location and time with them, so I'm very excited to go do that with Tristan. But there is another thing that is coming our way very rapidly, but it all needs to be cemented before it happens. Erin, yes, I do, and I can take that. Yeah, he's actually much better now. He's finally healed, thanks to his partner. So you are spot on.
It's a terrible thing that war does, absolutely, and it's not only war, but any sort of we've gotten really deep. I know.
That's why we started off at over 100. We're down to 67. It's all right. The intellectuals have stayed, and right. Jose. That's right. We love you, Jose. We've missed you.
But it's a really important and terrible subject, and it's just frightening what all of this does. And it not only does it put the person who is involved in all of this in an awful psychological state of stress, it's compounded by family and their family, and it can go on for a generation or two, because certainly that sort of stress then goes deeply down into your genetic makeup and creates a horrible scenario. So we really feel for those people who are suffering with this sort of stuff. Awful. But anyway, guys, We are going to move on. We don't actually know what is going to be happening over the next few days and where we're going to be, what we're going to be
We
doing.
have to be on standby. There's very, very... See, everyone loves Jose. What? Bring back the penis? Yeah, we are on standby for some very exciting things. So please stay tuned to our pages. I'm hoping you've all liked our pages. TikTok is happening. Renata hates it with a passion. And I'm trying to embrace it as best I can and put up.
She gets like 2,000 views on a stupid eye thing where she just opens her eyes and looks like that, and that's 2,000 views. Like, what the hell?
Yep.
No.
But she puts a picture of a pug up and it gets 70.
Yeah. Go figure.
And I booped the floof. That was fun. I booped the floof.
See?
Boop.
No, it's just all wrong. No. Anyway.
Oh, yes, and so we've also got Laura
Tempest
Zakroff Tempest. I've got those back to front.
Laura Tempest Zakroff.
Who is running a sigil workshop. She is American. She has written the book
Sigil Witchery?
Sigil Witchery or Sigil Magic or something. And it is somewhere, I don't quite know. Just there's bookcases back there. And she is going to be working with only a small amount of people, and Christy's been putting the link up. I've bought tickets. Renata and I are buying tickets to do this because she is amazing in the work that she does. So if you want to learn a little bit of sigil magic, jump in and find that link. Christy's been putting up. I'll make sure it's up on the other pages as well. Limited numbers, and it's a sliding scale payment. It is in American dollars. She has a pensioner rate, which is about $13.50 or something American. Then I think there's another one which is $20 American, which is the average one. And then you can be like a sponsor and put money towards somebody who might not be able to afford to do it with some of her people in America, that she will then put that money towards helping someone else do a course that might not be able to afford it. So it sort of makes up for the pensioner rate as well. So she's wonderful for doing that sort of thing. So that's happening in October, September. I don't know. We need to go. I'm very tired. We've had sellout tours on Friday night, Saturday night. It's been an amazing weekend. We had a lovely time in Sydney last night and lovely time in Sydney this morning. Exciting things happening this week. Stay tuned. Love you all, and we will see yous on the dark side. Bye. Gonna